because it works all the time.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. We are on Facebook and we are a few minutes late because we had tech issues. Of course. But we are here. We can see everybody. We can hear everybody, hopefully. So let's take 1 second. Let me pin this everywhere it needs to be so everybody can actually find us and make sure we're live. I'm so excited for this. So I was just telling Megan before we went live, I just started doing Profit First in my business, and it's like the most amazing thing ever. And it's super simple. And I just can't wait. I can't wait for this. So I think we are pinned. We're good. We're live. Okay. So this is Megan. Megan has also done another Spotlight Sunday as well about taxes and keeping the IRS off your ass. So that's in the archives too. But for everyone that's new, I know we have a ton of new people in here for the challenge that I'm doing next week. So if Megan, if you want to just give us a quick intro to you and what you do, that would be awesome.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Megan, and I am the gal behind Allay Accounting. And basically, it's kind of funny, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, it's funny how your business just shifts all the time. It seems like you're constantly making changes. And I basically do virtual accounting, and I work a lot with small businesses, mostly service-based industries, but a lot of non-service-based also. And for a while, I was doing a lot of bookkeeping, taxes, and kind of a whole package type work. But I'm really kind of shifting now where I'm focusing a lot more on profit coaching, Profit First, cash flow budgeting, and helping people figure out where the hell their money's going. And,
important.
Making a plan for your money. So money isn't something that just happens to you. It's something that you get and you feel in control of. It really just helps. Having a good understanding of what you're doing with your money and where it's going just makes, takes a weight off your shoulders, and then you can actually run your business and feel good about the decisions you're making. So
I love it. I love how you worded that. Money doesn't happen to you. That's perfect.
I remember times when I would get paid when I was working, in my corporate job, whatever. I'd get paid and I'd be like, I'm so rich. And then 10 minutes later, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm broke, because
where the hell did it go?
It went out, and it was like, what the hell is going on? So
yeah.
So I have a better system in place now, which is awesome. And I'm going to talk to you guys about it, but that's not always been the case. So money was a thing, so
yeah, I'm super excited because this is I get so many questions too. For those of you that don't know, also Megan is a guest expert in my group program because everybody has money questions. So Megan's going to be a guest expert in there too. I'm going to be talking about that more in the challenge, but so good. Megan's awesome. So good. So I see there are a lot of people here, and only 2 people have said hi to me so far. So everybody say hi. Let us know that you're here. For those of you that are new to the group, these are very interactive calls. If you have questions, just put them in. And even if we don't answer you right away, we'll go back and read the question. So say hi, give us feedback along the way, so we're not just talking to ourselves, and let us know if you have questions. So Heather and Natalie say hi. Tammy. Yeah, money doesn't happen to you. Heather agrees.
Yep.
Yay. Okay, so let's get started. So
awesome. So what I want to talk today about is Profit First. And a lot of people have either heard of Profit First or they haven't. I mean, I kind of hear a mix of everything, but Profit First is this book written by Mike Michalowicz. And he is a guy he was this entrepreneur, had some really successful businesses as far as growing really fast. And then he, sold them before he realized that his cash flow was completely effed and and stuff like that. So he basically sold his businesses, had a lot of money, and then just was almost bankrupt because he just spent it all and he didn't know how to manage his money. So he came up with this system that kind of helps business owners take their money and then give it jobs and kind of putting it on smaller plates. And so it kind of this whole system helps streamline your business cash flow. And one thing that I think is really common with a lot of business owners, especially starting out, and I don't know, just a lot of us, because I know I've done it too, is One, feeling like you have to have like the shiny new object and being like, oh, if I buy this thing, then I'll make more money. If I invest my money here, I'll make more money. And all of that. And then you get stuck in this cycle where you don't have enough money coming, like you're one like payment that doesn't come in away from like having a lot of cash problems.
Yeah.
Because you're spending money before you make it, or you're just spending too much money. And one big thing that he noticed, and I get questions on all the time, I mean, this is even before I was really into Profit First, is, a lot of business owners don't know how much they should pay themselves and don't know how they can pay themselves because everything that's coming in is going out on business expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So you're working your ass off, your money's going out the door, you don't have enough money to pay yourself. And then when you go to file your taxes, you're screwed because you haven't set any money aside for taxes. Yeah. So
you're like, why did I do this? I should just go back to get a regular job.
Yes.
That's what I did anyway.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just a cycle of like, it should be easier than that. And like, if you bring it back to like basics, I mean, you're in business to make money to pay yourself, right? I mean, you're not doing this for charity. You would not hire somebody and have them work as hard as you do and not pay them. Mm-hmm. So Profit First is a system that it kind of flips everything on its head about like accounting and the way that you think of it, where you have like income and then you pay your business expenses and then you pay yourself. It's like, no. We're going to take our income and we're going to pay ourselves before we start paying anything else. And, one thing that's really cool about it, is a lot of people might be like, well, shit, if I pay myself, sorry, I'm kind of like,
you're good. You can say whatever you want here.
I'm really excited about this, but a lot of people will think like, if I pay myself first, then I'm not going to have enough money to pay all of my business expenses. Mm-hmm. And, that's a really good sign that maybe your business can't afford all of your expenses. So it kind of makes you take a hard look at like, where you're spending money, and like where are places that you can maybe cut back, because, there's two ways that you can increase profit. One is to get more sales, have more money coming in and generating more revenue. Yeah. And two is to cut your expenses. And usually cutting expenses for the most part can be pretty painless. You know what I mean? You have like on a personal side of things, you have Netflix, you have Hulu, you have Amazon, you have DirecTV. I mean, you don't really need all of those things. Right. So it kind of makes you take a hard look at your business and where you're spending your money and like, are there opportunities for savings? And when that happens and you start cutting out unnecessary expenses, your profit goes up. Mm-hmm. It's just this like snowball effect. So it's really, really cool.
Yeah, I love it. I love that whole like flip it on its head thing. And that's how he words it too. I love it. Just, yeah. I've watched, other people, family members and stuff have businesses for so long and they just never pay themselves like at all. I'm like, why are you even doing this? That's not why you set up a business so that you could be on the struggle bus for 10 years. Like pay yourself first. And then, like you said, especially I think in online businesses too, the shiny object thing, like there's so much shit you can buy. There's so many systems and programs and like.
Yeah. And classes and I mean, there's just a lot and I'm totally guilty of it. I have like 4
me too.
courses that I need to like finish that I bought a year ago. You know what I mean? But at that time I was like, oh, I have to have this. And looking at it, when I did my Profit First, like initial allocations, which I'll talk about in a second, I kind of was like, oh my God, I don't need a lot of this stuff. And, it's been almost 6 months since I've been working in this system and I'm looking at my numbers now and I'm like, yeah, like this feels good. So
yeah, makes sense.
And so, like one of the things I was going to chat about was like, well, that's what Profit First is, but like, why do we need it? Mm-hmm. One is that we just talked about that. Like, it's so easy to spend money. And when you have money in your bank account, it's like, oh, great. Now what am I going to spend on? Mm-hmm. And then especially in like service-based, in any business, but like service-based businesses, it's not a consistent income each month or, you know what I mean? It can be very easily like feast or famine. You have a big few months and you're like, this is awesome. And then, you might go a little while on a drought and you might not have quite as much money. So learning how to kind of manage your cash flows so that when you do have months that are big, it can help you carry over to...
Oh, wait, I think I lost your video. I don't see you anymore.
There we go.
Okay, there we go.
I'm having all kinds of crazy things happening today. Ugh. So I don't know where I lost you guys, but
I think we heard you the whole time. We just lost
okay,
you.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically learning how to manage your cash flow so that even if your income is very cyclical and comes in at different times, that's not how you're living on a day-to-day basis. You know, you're not, super flush with cash and then like broke, you know what I mean? You're able to like draw a consistent income, even when your business is not.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I've found really helpful about Profit First is like, I'm really busy right now, like with taxes. And so I'm busier and just have more revenue coming in the first 3 months of the year. And in the second half of the year, it's not quite as much. So I'm like excited to see my owner's comp account building up so that like, I know that's going to carry me through the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Where historically it's been like, I have a lot of money. Let's go do
I can go buy all the things.
yeah. And then like, I'm paying my credit card off from like the second half of the year. I mean, it's just nuts how much it's like flipped on your head. So
yeah, I love it. It's been way easier for me too. And you'll get into all that stuff in a minute, but just seeing everything visually, that's what I think that's my favorite part of it is just how it's so freaking easy. It's just way easier to see where your money is and how much of it's for what. Yeah. I'm getting ahead of myself though. I'm just so excited.
And that's perfect. I mean, like, so as business owners, like how often do we get in and look at our financial statements and be like, how often are they accurate and up to date, like at the touch of your fingertips?
Yeah.
And how often do you get in there and be like, well, here's my profit and loss. And, here's all my money and here's what's coming up. Here's what I think I can spend. Like nobody does that. What we do is we look at our bank account and we're like, whoa, this is how much money we have in our account. This is great. And so what Profit First does is basically you set up 5 different bank accounts. And when I first heard about the system and the 5 different bank accounts, I was like, that's crazy. Like that's going to be a bookkeeping nightmare
that's what I did too.
I'm like, this is ridiculous. You can do it all like on paper, but you can't. Like, I mean, you could, but why? I mean, setting up the 5 accounts sounds really cumbersome. It's not. It's easy. You just get it done.
Yeah.
And then what you do with those accounts is you have the first account is your revenue account. So that's where all of your money goes. Like all of your money that comes in goes to your revenue account. And then you have 4 other accounts. The other one is profit. This is the money that basically you're allocating to yourself as a business owner for like taking the risk of being a business owner and you're investing in your business. Like if you invest in a public company, that's when they send you dividends, they're sending you part of profit. So you're doing that as a small business owner. You're setting aside profit, which can be used for various things. Can be used for like a rainy day fund. It can be used to help like really pay down your debt. If you have debt, it can be used for a lot of things down the road, but profit is one. And then you have owner's compensation. So that's the account that you're going to set up. So before you pay any of your business expenses, you're going to put money in profit. You're going to put money in your owner's comp account. Then you have a tax account because you're going to have to do something at tax time. And the best part about this tax account is if you, at the end of the year, you go to file your taxes and you don't have to pay anything like as much as you thought you did, you have a bunch of money or whatever, however much money sitting in this tax account that you can use as a bonus. You can like bonus yourself out. So
that happened to me this year and I was so excited.
Isn't that awesome?
Yes.
But it's like a forced savings and you're doing this before you pay any business expenses so that it's a priority because it is. I mean, I've worked with so many business owners who don't save for taxes and then they're screwed because they owe money with their tax return and then they don't have enough money to like pay estimates. And you get in this like hole and it's really hard to dig out. And it's mentally exhausting to try to dig out of a hole.
Yeah.
And then the last account is your operating expense account. So basically that's where all of your money that you pay expenses from goes. So you have 5 bank accounts, but you're really only paying expenses out of 1. So it's really not that bad. It's not a bookkeeping nightmare or anything like that, like I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And then in this system, and so I work with clients doing it at various times, but Mike, the author, he advocates paying your bills twice a month. And I know it's a little bit harder. Like there's so many like subscriptions and payments that come out automatically that it's hard to like say, like tell Dubsado like, hey, send me a paper invoice. You know what I mean? You can't do that with some of them.
Yeah.
But what it does is when you sit down to pay your bills and like twice a month, it kind of helps you understand like how the cash flows in your business. Like what's coming out at the first part of the month, what's coming out at the second part of the month. And once you can kind of get a feeling for how the cash is moving in your business, like in and out, that helps you be able to plan a little bit more in the future to know like, okay, I might have, $5,000 in my bank account, but I know the second half of the month is going to be really heavy with expenses, so I can't spend it.
Yeah.
So it kind of helps you just get a better idea of where you're spending your money. And with everything being so automatic, like all of our automatic subscriptions and stuff, it's important to sit down and look at those as they're coming out, because there are times when you sign up for like a free trial and then it just starts coming out automatically and you miss it. There are a lot of subscriptions and like things that you're paying for that maybe are duplicates, and like, you know what I mean? So it just helps you keep an eye on like where your money is actually going. I
have a lot of them too that I like paid for the yearly subscription because it was cheaper. So then it'll like all of a sudden charge me this huge sum of money. I'm like, whoa, shit, what happened?
I know, right?
So like keeping track of it is super important. So I ended up like, I just put them all on a calendar and
calendar reminders are huge. I'm going to talk about one other software that I use at the end that helps me plan for those big expenses. So basically those are the 5 accounts. And the cool thing about, so like the owner's comp account is one that's really important because as I talked about, like, how do you know how much to pay yourself? So there's a couple of different things you have to consider. Like one, what can you afford to pay yourself? And like, what do you need? What can your business actually afford to pay you? And then what do you actually need? Right. So you have to look at all of your personal expenses and figure out what you need personally to figure out what you need from your business. So if you get set up on a system where you're like, okay, I need $500 twice a month from my business, then when you are allocating money into your owner's comp account, you only take out $500 twice a month. So 2 times a month, you're getting $500. So there you're on a more consistent basis. When you have really, when you have months where a lot more money comes in, you're going to send a higher percentage of that income in to that owner's comp account. So if there's $2,000 sitting in there, you still only take $500, twice a month. And then that money just carries forward so that if you don't have as much coming in, you still have that money there as a buffer to take the consistent $500 a month. I'm using $500 and that's like easy numbers for me, but so
that makes a lot of sense. I've just been doing it like just take the half, but that makes so much more sense because now it's just sitting in this other account when like, no, I should save it because now the same thing's happening on my personal side. I'm like, oh, all this money, but not really. I need a profit first, like personal finances next.
Almost, yeah. I mean, and it kind of, you have to almost reverse engineer, like, what do you need personally so that you know how much you can take out of your business. But, and take out of your business in a consistent way. And then as you make more money, as your business grows, you'll be able to take more out. But you don't look at your owner's comp account and be like, oh, I have $2,000 in there, I'm taking it. It's like, no, I only need $500 this half of the month, I'm taking it. And then it builds up to where when you have a slow month or something like that, you still have money to be able to pay yourself so that personally you're not screwed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes so much more sense.
So that's what I really like about it, and that I found super valuable with my business being super heavy, like revenue wise in the first part of the year. Okay. So does anybody have any questions about any of that before I talk about like how to figure out your allocations?
We do have some comments. So I'm going to read through the ones that are here. Everybody else that's watching, if you do have questions, put them in now. Heather says she's heard awesome stuff about Profit First, but hasn't read it yet. Yeah, I haven't made it through the book yet. I just set up the stuff.
You know what I did is, and I saw Tammy said this, is I read the book, which was really good to see it visually, but now I'm listening to on Audible because a client of mine is like, yeah, he adds in a ton of bonus stuff in the Audible version. Yeah. And
that's what I have too.
It's really good. Yeah, there's a lot more stuff that he adds in there in the Audible version.
That's cool. And I like, if you have the Audible one too on his website, you can still go in and like see all the little charts and resources and everything. So that's what I have it too.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's all that's there now. Keep putting in questions if you have them.
Okay. So the thing that is so easy about Profit First is each time when you're sitting down to basically take all the money from your revenue account into the 4 other accounts that we talked about, the profit, owner's comp, tax, and operating expense account, it's all on a percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you have to look at it and be like, well, how much should I do? It's like, no, this percent goes into profit, this percent, so it's really easy once you figure out what you need.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 2 different steps or 2 things that you need to consider when you're figuring out what your percentages should be. So one of the big things with profit first, any kind of system where you're trying to make a change, is to go really slow and just take baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
And he has these things called current allocation percentages and then target allocation percentages. So CAP and TAP. And your current allocation percentages, basically you look at your financial information, like your profit and loss, your balance sheet, and you don't have to, this doesn't have to be exact. This is not something that you have to get to the penny, like you just do the best that you can to figure out, okay, from my business over the last 12 months, how much money have I taken out as owner's pay? Mm-hmm. So if you took out, I'm just going to use easy numbers, $5,000 of owner's pay in the last 12 months, and your revenue was, I have to get my calculator. Oh, this is so embarrassing. Okay, easy number. So if your revenue was $20,000,
Mm-hmm.
$20,000, and you took out $5,000 in owner's pay, then right now that means that 25% of your income you're taking out as owner's comp.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do the same thing with like your expenses, like total of all of your expenses. What was that total of your expenses? Divide it by your total revenue. That's how much you have been taking out for operating expenses. And then how much have you, now on the tax side of things, how much have you taken out for taxes? So like if you took draws from your business to pay taxes, how much is that? By the revenue. So it's really easy percent, divide this by this and you get your percentage. And then what you do is you start from where you are, and then you just add 1% to where you are right now. And those are your new percentage allocation. So if you historically haven't taken out any money for owner's pay, now you're going to be at 1%. So for a quarter, 1% of your income is going to go into this owner's pay account. Same with profit. If you don't have if you've never really taken out any profit in your account, and you just kind of spend it all on business expenses, you're probably going to be at 0. 1% of your revenue is going to go to this profit account. And the baby steps are really nice, because if you can't operate your business without 1%, like you just can't afford, you need to make some other changes.
Yeah. There's more going on there than your accounting system.
But it's so easy to just say, okay, for the next quarter, I'm going to take 1% of my income and put it in profit. I'm going to take 1% and put it towards owner's pay. And you just start out with these baby steps. And like, I can go into a lot more detail on how to do it. It honestly is really easy when you read the book, because you can see things like visually, like it's easier to look visually at like how to do the percentage allocations and stuff like that than to like hear it. But
no, I think that makes a ton of sense. Like I said, I haven't read the book. I just did like his little chart and just set it up exactly like he said. And I've just been doing it that way. So luckily I went through the whole, weed out all the stupid expenses I don't need a while ago. So yeah. I'm doing good so far.
Awesome. Yeah. And the cool thing is so then the TAP accounts, this target allocation account, or the target allocation percentages, he did a study of a bunch of different businesses that are doing really well financially. And he's like, okay, well, you're doing really great financially. What are your percentages? How much are you spending on expenses? How much are you spending on owner's pay? And stuff like that. And he hasn't broken out by revenue. So if your business makes under like $250,000, do these percentages. If it makes more, do these. I'm just going to talk about the under 250 because it seems like that's where a lot of us are. Yeah. And it's really simple. Like it's like 5% profit, 10% tax, like 35% expenses. And then I don't even remember the rest, but anyways, it's really easy. And so where you are right now, and then each quarter you just do a small adjustment to try to work towards your target allocation percentages. You don't just like go in all at once and be like, well, I'm going to start paying myself 50% of what I make, because that's going to be a hard adjustment.
Yeah.
But but So starting out, and he even in his book, and like something that he advocates obviously is simplicity.
Yeah.
So if you are like, I don't have a freaking clue where I am percentage wise, I don't even want to start thinking about that. That sounds like too much.
Yeah.
Start at like zero, start at 1% for profit, 1% for taxes, like, or 10% for tax. I mean, just like really small numbers, and you can kind of do whatever you want, whatever's comfortable for you, and then start moving towards those target allocation percentages. But it is really cool, Brooke, like you said, like to see the money. So then you start seeing your money build up. So you look at your bank account and you're like, oh, this is great because I have this much in profit. I have this much saved for owner's pay, so I know how I can pay myself each month. I have this set aside for taxes, and then everything else, that's what you can spend in your business. So you're not wondering like, how am I going to pay my taxes at the end of the year? Like, am I ever going to pay myself? Like, and stuff. And
am I ever going to make any money?
I know. And I have worked with some business owners who, see that money in those accounts, and they're like, "Ooh, well, I need to pay my credit card this month. Can we just take it?" And it's like, no, like that's what you've been doing. Like, it's so easy and tempting to be like, "Oh, I'm going to just take this money that I've set aside for owner's pay and reinvest it back into the business." And it's like, no, that's not what it's for. Like, if you have to reinvest your owner's pay back in the business because there's not enough money, then you really need to take a hard look at your expenses.
Yeah.
See, because your business is telling you that you cannot afford to operate with everything that you have going on.
Yeah. I really liked too how they're supposed to be at separate banks. Like when you're transferring it to a different bank, so you're not as tempted to do that. I didn't do it with all of the ones that he said. My tax one's still there. I can see it, but I like it does make a lot of sense. Like you're not tempted. I have my owner's pay one and my profit one at different banks, but
it is, because it's like, oh, well, I really want like I need a new laptop right now. Like this one is from like 2012. And I'm like, ooh, but I could do, I have this much sitting in this account. And it's like, no, that's not what that money is earmarked for. And so you have these 5 accounts, and then you have 2 other accounts set up at a separate bank where you basically transfer your money to profit. And then from profit, you transfer it to the other profit account, because it usually takes like 3 days, a couple days. There's some lag time. Because it's like out of sight, out of mind. Like you don't have access to it with a debit card. You don't have access to it, online. And it is because that's just the way that we operate as human beings is if you see it, you're going to spend it.
Yeah.
Like I used to live on $200 a month in college, like there's no way I could do that now because I'm used to spending more money. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's an amazing system. I love how easy it is, because you look at your bank account, your money that comes in, you look at it, and then you're like, okay, well, here's where I'm putting everything. You don't even have to think about it. And it takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to use.
It's so easy. And like I said at the beginning too, I was like super overwhelmed at first. I was like, I'm going to have to set all this crap up. It really wasn't like, I ended up only having to actually set up one account because I already had other accounts that I just was already using kind of for that anyway. So it really wasn't that bad. And like you said, it's so freaking easy. You just go in there and just transfer it. Yeah. Like you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah. And then you have money to pay yourself. You know what I mean? And you're not like,
you actually make money.
I know. And it's I just love it because it's, even if you're not good with numbers, even if you overwhelmed by the financial stuff, like it's take a number, multiply it by a percentage. That's what you do. You don't have to think about anything else.
Yeah.
So it's really awesome.
I love it.
Yeah. So I highly recommend to everybody that they read Profit First. Yes. And even if you get the book, it's a business deduction. So get the book or Audible, write it off in your business as a business expense. Mm-hmm. And then even if you don't read the whole thing, like flip to the first part where he starts talking about how to do the allocation percentages. And there you go. Or, I mean, there's a website. His website is MikeMichalowicz.com. And in the Audible version, he said, my nickname in high school was Mike Motorbike. So if you can't spell Michalowicz, go to MikeMotorbike.com and
That's hilarious.
It automatically transfers you to his website and I'm not affiliated with Profit First at all. I don't get any kind of kickbacks. I just love it.
That's awesome.
And he has like a resources tab. Mm-hmm. And from there you can download worksheets to help you figure out your current allocation percentages, which basically is like, where's your money going right now? Is it going to you? Is it going to all pay operating expenses? And then once you figure out where your money's going, then you can take the next steps to be like, okay, well, here's where I want it to go. Then, like I said earlier, money's not happening to you. You're stepping in the role of like, it's my money. Here's where it's going. Here's what it's doing. I'm using it to pay me. I'm using it to save for taxes. And then I can pay my business expenses.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
There's another app that I use called YNAB. Have you guys heard of that? Like, you need a budget.
Mm-mm.
It is. So it's cool because you get like a free 30-day like free trial. And within this app, you can set up multiple budgets. So like I have my household set up on one and I have my business set up on one.
Ooh.
And it's really cool because it'll tell me how much money I have in my account right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tell it, then I'm basically like, here's where I want to spend it. And it's obvious, like the monthly recurring expenses. It's like, okay, well, I know this is coming out. So I have to pay my cell phone bill. I have to pay my, Gmail subscription, whatever. So you're paying those, so you're allocating your money, but then you can set up categories for a lot of those annual expenses to where you have like a Dubsado expense, for $200. And it's like, okay, well, if you want to pay that in full when it comes due next spring, set X amount aside per month. And you can set up all of those categories for a lot of your annual expenses so that when you have money in your bank account, it's not just like, I have this money, what am I going to do with it? It's like, here's what I need to do with it. And then I want to start planning for a lot of those expenses that are annual expenses that come up and surprise you.
Yeah.
And I do it personally too, like for our vehicle registrations, you can do it for like insurance, but it's really cool on the business side of things. So you could hook up like all of your bank accounts if you wanted and track it that way. It's kind of confusing when you're doing it with like 5 bank accounts. Or you could just hook up your OPEX, your operating expense account, and then it pulls over the transactions and says, here's how much money you have. And it's just, you're only budgeting with the money that you actually have right now, not the money that you're going to get, not the money that you think you're going to get, or the expenses that you want to pay. It's like, I have this much in my account. What am I doing with it? And then you start feeling like you have a little bit more control over your money.
Yeah.
And like on my YNAB, I have like each line item set up with the dollar amount and the due date. So I know like if it's the beginning part of the month, here's what's due. If it's the second part of the month, here's what's due.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I need it.
Yeah.
What did you say it was called?
It's YNAB, or You Need a Budget. It's awesome because they let you do a 30-day free trial. And even if you're like 10 days in and you're like, this is awesome, I want it, they still give you the remainder of the 30 days. And then they start charging you for it. But it's like $6 a month, but I think you prepay, so it's like $80. But again, business write-off, right? So
yeah,
you can't afford not to do it. But it's really cool because it helps you plan and like you're in control of your money. Here's where it's going.
I love it.
So it doesn't feel like money's just flying out the window.
I love stuff like that. I'm like a huge numbers person. I love looking at all the numbers and all the analytics of everything even too. So
yeah, and they have like a reporting function inside of there. So you could even do, I've seen people do their actual bookkeeping inside of YNAB because there's reporting features. I mean, if you're invoicing like somewhere like Dubsado or something like that, I mean, I've seen people like use YNAB as like their accounting system because at the end of the year, you can pull up a report that shows how much you spent in, to Adobe, how much you spent here, how much you spent on your cell phone and stuff like that. So
cool.
I haven't done it personally because I just use QuickBooks. I like it, but
yeah, I like QuickBooks too.
Yeah. Do you use the regular or the self-employed?
I use the self-employed, so it won't tie with my Dubsado. But honestly, I don't take that many payments through Dubsado anyway. I do it through my Access Allay system, my membership site stuff. So it's fine.
So YNAB, you guys should check out Profit First, YNAB, and those two together are just like a freaking powerhouse that is so easy to use.
Yes.
And the cool thing about YNAB is they have so many free tutorials on their website to show you how to use it, how to get it set up, and how to get the most out of it. And then of course on YouTube, there's a ton. There's a guy named Nick True who does like a lot of like YNAB tutorials who's really, really good.
Cool.
And so I can say like, I've done my own YouTube. I don't because he's so good. I'm just like, here, check him out.
Just send him there. Don't need to recreate the wheel.
Yeah. He explains it better, but
Natalie says, this is amazing for me because I have no accounting skills.
You don't need accounting skills. This is the best part.
Yep. Basic calculator. This times this. Send it here.
Yeah, and like on the initial like percentages, if you wanted to, you could just like put it into like an Excel or numbers template. Like, here's your numbers, here's the divisions, and then it just tells you. And then each quarter, when you're supposed to adjust these percentages to work towards this goal, just copy and paste your sheet and then just change the percentages. And I mean, you don't even have to do anything but type in numbers into your Excel spreadsheet once you get it set up. And it's so easy.
Yeah, so easy. I love it.
And I think my favorite part about it, like, I love the tax savings part of it, but I just love knowing, like, I'm going to get paid this month. Like, I'm going to get paid this month. I'm going to get paid in October.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love it. It made it way easier, like, from when I came from that corporate job too. You know, you're used to getting paid every 2 weeks. It's like, wow, this feels like easy like that again without having to stress about all of it. So
yeah, and instead of being like, when can I take my money, when can't I? Like, I set he's in the book advocates like the 10th and 25th, but I set mine up on my husband gets paid every other Friday. Okay. So I do my allocations every other Friday so that we both get paid at the same time. So then I'm like, it's our money.
Yeah.
Really mostly his.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I seriously, I'm loving it so far. I just set it up, like I said, a few months ago, probably like at the beginning of the year, like in January I did. So far it's been totally awesome. Way, way easier than I thought it would be. So
it is the 5 bank accounts at the beginning, you know, the 5 or 7. I mean, it seems a little intimidating. And I remember somebody talking to me about it probably like 4 years ago. And I hadn't read it yet. And I'm like, that sounds like a nightmare. Like, I don't know if this is like really what you should be doing. And I didn't say it like in those terms, but I kind of was like, it sounds like a lot more work, you know, I don't know. And then in the book, he's like, if your accountant says that it's too much work, like, you need to run the other way. And I'm like, that was me. And now I'm making up for it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So if anybody has any questions about that, I'll be happy to answer anything. But
cool. Yeah. Usually we get a lot of replay watches on the Spotlight Sunday things too. I've been debating. I love Spotlight Sunday just because of the alliteration. Yeah. I think Sundays are hard for a lot of people, so we get a lot of replay watches on Monday. So if anybody has any questions on there, feel free to put them in. But yeah, I've been thinking about maybe like Feature Friday or something instead. It's not a light bulb word though, and I like the light bulbs. I'm debating. But anyway.
Flashlight Friday.
Flashlight Friday. There you go. Okay. So replay watchers. Yeah, feel free to engage as well. We like comments around here. So thank you so much, Megan, for sharing. Yeah. I love talking about this stuff. And Brand Boldly Live is relaunching soon. Megan's going to be a guest expert in there also. So it's going to be good. If you are not in the challenge yet, our challenge starts tomorrow for what I totally forgot what I called it. Random strangers into raving super fans is what we'll be talking about. All about freebies and email sequences and how to build really powerful connections with ideal clients online. That's starting tomorrow as well. It's going to be freaking awesome. Head over to the events tab to get the information on that. If you're not in there yet, you still got time. So cool. Thank you so much, Megan, for coming in. It's been totally awesome. And last minute too, we had our one scheduled for today had to cancel. Her kiddos were sick. So thank you for coming in last minute. I so appreciate it. And
for sure.
Yeah.
So
we will
cool.
talk to you soon.
Right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.